What makes a successful founder?
To be a leader means one thing and one thing only. It means you have followers. That's it. You know, it's not about learning your style of leadership and how to adjust your style to fit the situation at hand. That's management, right? Leaders only have one thing: they have followers. A follower is somebody who raises their hand and volunteers to go where you're going. They raise their hand and volunteer to go in the direction that you're pointing. And so to lead others means that you have a clear vision of a world that does not yet exist, a world that could exist. And by articulating that cause, that vision, that purpose over and over and over again, it inspires people who believe what you believe, who want to see that world built, to join, to go with you, to figure out ways, you know? And so for me, in my work, what leadership means is articulating this world in which the vast majority of us wake up every single day, inspired to go to work, and come home every single day fulfilled by the work that we do. That doesn't mean we have to like every day, you know, but we can love every day. You don't like your children every day, but but you love your children every day, right? And so the more I talk about this world that does not yet exist yet, because right now the world we live in, the vast majority of people, 90% plus, don't love what they do. They may like it, but they don't love it. When I talk about this world, it inspires others who believe what I believe and want to see this world built, join up and figure out in their own way how to advance that vision so it becomes real. My role is to continue to pound the pavement and put that vision out there.
So, a founder is a leader, and a leader inspires others to believe in a clear vision. To me, that kind of sounds like sales in a way. For Mark Zuckerberg, it's a world where we connect. For Jeff Bezos, it's where you can find anything and buy anything online. For Steve Jobs, it's to make tools that advance humankind. Daniel Schreiber, CEO and founder of Lemonade, expands on how to communicate that vision. Let's listen in.
One of the things that I think entrepreneurs often underrate is storytelling. So I think that the job of an entrepreneur, of a founder, is to create a vision of what a future might look like, to have a concrete notion of a better place that you want to get to. And that's step one, envisioning. But step two is really investing in the art of storytelling. So less Excel, more PowerPoint, less numbers, more vision and storytelling. I think one of the toughest lessons I learned, and I learned it early on in my career, is about firing people. I used to procrastinate. I used to drag the process out. And I thought, and I justified it to myself and to others, that I was being thoughtful and kind and generous, and I was being none of those things. Beating about the bush did them no favors whatsoever, and to the extent that I was being generous with somebody else's money. And it was a tough lesson to learn that really being direct, being fast to cut when you need to, doing it in a dignified manner that actually really does respect the other person and treats them as the adult that they are, rather than trying to soften it to the point that they don't quite know what's going on, and you try to reassure yourself that you're doing a kindness, but you really aren't. My career has had successes, it's had plenty of failures as well. I've got a checkered career. But I think that on the occasions that I've been successful, it's due to two or three things. One, which I actually rank really highly, is good fortune. I think it's very tempting to underrate the importance of luck in all good things that happen to us. And the luck can be literally dumb luck, random things that fall your way. But it's also just the luck of where you were born, what time you were born, into what kind of family, what kind of genes, all of that. All things that you inherit without having done anything in order to deserve them per se. So I think luck is an important thing. And then the second one, and this is an expression of that luck, is working with amazing people. And the good things that have happened during my tenure have always happened because I have amazing partners, amazing investors, amazing people that I worked with. And the third thing, which has been just a constant in my life, is my wife. Daniela is the love of my life. She's been my partner in thought and in action since we got to know each other many years ago. And again, none of the successes that I have had would I have had without her. Doing what you love always involves sacrifices and tensions and not being able to do all the things that you want, and trade-offs that you have to make on a continuous basis.
There was actually a lot of tips in there. So the first was storytelling. The second, definitely being a founder, sometimes you have to kind of put kindness out of the way, in a sense where if you have to let someone go, let them go. And he also talks about good fortune and good luck, which is great. But the last point I really like, which is a good wife, a good partner, a good husband who understands the trade-off and sacrifices of a founder, all the things that you have to make in order to build a good company. So very touch my heart for sure. So let's listen into number 3, a retired Navy SEAL, and he talks a little bit about leadership.
And this guy shows up, and he's got a nice smile on his face, and he's super humble. And I remember one of the first things he said to us was like, "I look forward to working with you guys." And I was, that word right there, I'm gonna work with you guys. Not I'm in charge, I'm glad I'm taking over, I'm glad to be your commander. It was nothing like that. He said, "Hey, I'm looking forward to working with you guys." So all of a sudden it was totally different. And he started putting us in charge of things. Instead of him coming up with a plan, he would say, "Hey, you guys come up with a plan and let me know how you want to do it." And all of a sudden we had all this ownership, and that made me reflect on the way the first guy had acted compared to the way this guy had acted. And I realized how important it was to be a humble leader and to listen to other people and to give ownership to other people.
My next guest is definitely a humble leader. I worked with him back in 2013, and I am so excited to learn from him today. He is going to teach us what it takes to become a successful entrepreneur and founder. Previously, he founded, scaled, and sold a marketing technology company called Tint for $30 million in August of 2018. He bootstrapped this company with 2 of his amazing co-founders, Nikhil Aitharaju and Tim Sekou. He bootstrapped it from 3 employees to 40 full-time employees to $5 million in annual recurring revenue and 1,000 plus customers all over the world, in 172 countries to be precise. Ryo continues to serve as an advisor to Tint because he is passionate about building useful products. While at Tint, Ryo was responsible for tech and marketing as CTO and head of growth. Today, he's doing it again, solving a very personal problem he encountered while building Tint. He's building tools for content marketers and SEOs. Use topic.com. Right now, he will help us understand what it takes to be a successful founder. So please help me welcome co-founder of Topic, Ryo Chiba. Welcome.
Thank you, Zen. Appreciate the welcome.
I'm so happy to see you. Whenever I see you, my heart's just like, oh, it's Ryo. So tell us, walk us through your origins. How you grew up, where you were born, like how did Ryo come to be? Like how did you get so humble and successful all at the same time?
Well, my story is basically I grew up in the Midwest and came out to California for undergrad down in Los Angeles, where I met my co-founders. We were undergrads at the time in the engineering department and partnered up with a business student. We started a social network, which was called Hype Marks, and it was basically a Pinterest clone. But at the time, the startup scene was picking up again in Los Angeles, so we were able to get some seed funding. We were working on that for a while. But eventually failed to turn that into anything, but luckily at the last minute pivoted to a B2B product, which, like you mentioned, we were able to grow organically and eventually exit about 2 years ago. So that's my background.
Oh man, okay, so let's unpack that. Before you got to Hype Marks, you did meet amazing founders. I think whenever you're building a startup, it's all about the team that you put together. How are you able to find such amazing co-founders to build Hypemarks with you, which eventually turned into Tint?
Absolutely. I think that that's such a fascinating problem that luckily I have not had to go through in a long time. But it is a lot like dating. You know, it only works if you put yourself out there. And at the time, I was putting myself out there a lot in terms of partnering with business school students and figuring out what I could build for them so that I could kick off or basically juggle a couple projects at any given time and see how they panned out. I think the general philosophy is the more doors you have open, the more likely you'll have one that you can walk through to turn into success. So yeah, it was just a matter of meeting as many business type people out there as possible, and they're always looking for engineers to build things. So it was pretty easy.